Welcome, everyone, to Fractional Operator. I'm your host, Mike Nelson from Hourglass SaaS, the operations platform built for fractional operators by fractional operators. And, one of my favorite things, and I'm bringing this up because I think it's one of our guests' favorite things about Hourglass, is the transparency that Hourglass offers our clients. Our client portal allows not just simplified billing for us, but it also allows our clients to log in and be able to see what's being done, who did it, when it was done. And I just really have always loved that transparency that we have with our clients. It holds us accountable and gives them a nice window into what we're doing for them. So, but that being said, welcome Sabrina Houser from Capital CFO Plus. How are you?
I'm good, Mike. How are you?
I am fantastic. I'm enjoying this sunny day as we were talking about before we went live here, and looking forward to the pool later on, and yeah, just work, work, work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with a little
Sabrina,
bit of play.
what's that?
With a little bit of play.
A little bit of play. Yes. I'm trying to, summertime. I don't know about you, but we see this weird, I don't want to call it a slowdown, but it's like business becomes fits and starts because everybody's
Yes,
vacationing and they're less
yes,
responsive. So like when things are quiet, I try to take advantage until the
yes,
next busy moment. So
yes. It's the perfect way to describe it.
yeah, well, thank you. Thank you. I didn't even practice that, Sabrina. Uh, so Sabrina, I was really looking forward to this interview with you for a few reasons. One of the big ones, though, is that you've been in business for about 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
right? 2016, you launched, and you've got a
2016.
yeah, right. So you've got a great business, solid business, and talking to you about how it started and what you've done over the years, I think is going to be so helpful to anyone listening. But before we get into that stuff, maybe just give us kind of a quick overview of Capital CFO Plus and kind of what you guys do.
Yeah, so I think the fact that you just made that mistake of like CFO versus CFO plus talks a lot about how the business has evolved over the last 10 years. So when I first started, it was just Capital CFO. We offered outsourcing, bookkeeping and CFO services for our clients. And then immediately after I started, clients were asking me for more services that were beyond just the CFO stuff that we did. So I want to say gosh, I think 2021, 2022 was when we rebranded to add the plus. So now we're a full service outsourced solution for our clients, and we offer finance, marketing, and HR services. So all of the back end office work that businesses and nonprofits need.
Yeah. I First of all, I love the pivots that businesses make as time goes
Mm.
on, right? And I've always said one of my favorite things about entrepreneurs is you're doing something, a client says, "Hey, can you do this?" And our answer is always like, "Well, yeah, I can
I
figure it
think we
out."
can. You know, I think we actually can.
Uh,
So this is why I love talking to you because this is what you do all the time. Like you're constantly thinking in that forward, what can we do next? How can we help next? And that sparked a lot of how we came to be.
yeah.
And I
I
think that's why you and I work so well together.
Well, and we're both like serial optimists, maybe. Like we're
But you think of a serial optimist, that's great.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things that like I think you have to be in order to make the pivots that you and I have made over the year in business where it's like
Yes.
because when someone asks you to do something that it's and I love this conversation too, by the way. We'll dig into it a little bit more, but I just love the fact that when someone asks an entrepreneur, like I said, like, can you do this? It takes a serial optimist to be like, yeah, I can do this, or I've never done this, but I can figure this out and make it worth the money you're going to pay me to do it, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's a really positive spin on how my brain works. So I'm gonna go with that.
so, but it also, the conversation I really want to have with you is there's people that I admire because they do one thing they do that one thing and they do it amazingly well.
Yep.
And
Love
that,
those people.
right. And then there's people like
Yeah.
you and I that like we're doing so many things inside of our business because we want to help everyone that we can. And but it's also it's like tough to manage. And I always like almost envy those people. Like I had Jared Humiston on from 80K Techs recently, and he was talking about how a couple years ago he just completely simplified his business away from doing like what you and I do, which is all these things that we are trying to be for our clients, to like here's what we do. And I was like, wow, that sounds so amazing. Do you think that it's like better to focus? I know, right? Do you think it's better to try to focus on that simplification or running complex, busier businesses? I mean, or maybe better is
Oh,
not the
that's
right word.
such a good question. Okay, so I'm going to say that we actually did this with our business. So we used to offer a lot more different services, and then we did kind of an EOS. I don't know if you know what EOS is. Continuous Operating Systems, what it stands for. We went to an EOS workshop, and then we started self-implementing that with my leadership team. And one of the things that my VP of marketing said was, we're offering 5 solutions and 5 seems too many. Can we streamline to 3? And at first I was like, no, no, I like the 5. I feel like it's what our clients need. And she said, to be honest, when we're looking at the numbers, like, I don't think they're using the other 2. So can we simplify this a little bit and streamline it a little bit? So we did do that. I don't think there's a one size fits all, and I don't think you and I would fit really well on like we do this one thing and we do it real because I tried that, right? Like when I
Mhm.
started, it was just, oh, I'm just gonna focus on the CFO role. And then 3 seconds into it, I had somebody ask me if I can do fund development, and I was like, "I did that for 20 years. Of course I can help nonprofits do that. Of
Mhm.
course I can step in and help you do that." And I loved it. So I just don't think I think you have to stick to what you love, and I think you have to do that really well. So if we're doing 3 things, 20 things, starting multiple businesses like you do, um, then I think you just have to have the right people in place to help you do those things and do them really well. So the people that do my finance, that is all they do, and they do that really well. Same
Mhm.
thing with marketing, same thing with HR. It's their sole focus, but as a company, we offer more than just the one thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I have like a love-hate relationship with it, I'm not gonna lie. And I do it to myself, to be fair.
'Cause it's your company, so stop it if you wanna stop it, but you can't.
But you can't.
Your your brain would never let you, Mike.
I know, and that's the wrestling match I constantly had, right? Is like, God, the idea of simplifying everything sounds so amazing, and at the same time, the idea of simplifying everything sounds so boring.
Mm,
Is that I don't know,
yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like this is gonna turn into some sort of therapy session here, Sabrina. I need to lay down on the couch while we have this conversation. Uh, so so having the right people in place, and you were talking about EOS, as well, which I
Mhm.
love EOS. We have our
Yes,
level we have our level 10 meeting every Friday,
yes.
and honestly, probably most of the problems that we have in the business is because 'cause we're ignoring some of the principles of EOS, and not doing it correctly, but, uh, when you were implementing EOS on your own, was it easily adopted by your team? Like, how did they
No.
handle that change? No.
So my leadership team was all for it, and the ones that weren't aren't here anymore. And you
Mhm.
knew right away, and you knew why right away. And it really was the accountability that comes with the OS that you knew they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing, so to be held accountable to it was making them uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But the people that loved it right away realized how important it was. And so I am described by somebody whose leadership style is I'm rolling my R's when I say this is I lead with my heart. I don't lead with like um authority. I don't lean into authority very well. EOS really helps me to do that because the numbers are the numbers. The scorecard is the scorecard. The to-do list is the to-do list. And if every week we're talking about the same thing, everybody in that room should feel uncomfortable by saying, like, that's still in process, right? I certainly feel uncomfortable. So, I think it's really helpful for people like me that don't lean into authority because it gives you a structure and a formula to follow. And I love a formula and I love a list. So somebody that, again, I'm rolling my eyes, leans in and leads with her heart. This makes it much easier to be like, okay, you're not doing your job.
Mm. Kind of gives you the mechanism for it, right?
Yeah. And the formula.
And the formula.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because what happens to people that lead with their heart is the second it gets turned off, it gets turned off. Like that hose is off, and then it's filled with resentment. Like, I've done blah, 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 blah. You can't even do blah, blah, you know? And
Mhm.
then you start to tally it in your mind. And so this just makes it clean and still allows me to lead with kindness.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I I feel like I have a similar problem. And again, you and I are a lot alike in a lot of ways. So I like I can feel what you're saying because I'm always trying to focus on the human side of business and be understanding that people have to live and they have lives and there's other things happening in their life just like there's other things happening in my life. But at the end of the day, the job has to get done, and you know, can be hard to
This,
be the meanie.
yeah. Yes. But this gives you the structure to be like, it's been 3 weeks. That should have
Mhm.
been done.
That's very
And then after 3 weeks, you can say, like, you got 1 more week. Like, we can't keep talking about it, you know? So it's really been helpful for me. And I have to say, now that the people that didn't want to be held accountable are gone, um, the team loves it because they're like, we're all working now. Because they knew it, you know? Like the people that were working were like, why am I being held accountable and this person's not? So it's helped all around. It helps all around. I should be a spokesperson for Hourglass and EOS. I can't say enough good things about each. It's
Um, so let's, as much as I'd love to bring you into a conversation about Hourglass, let's talk about scaling and growing.
yeah.
So when you first launched,
Mhm.
you're coming from a nonprofit background,
Mhm.
and it was just you in the beginning.
Mhm. It was just me and I was still running my nonprofit. So I did this as a let's see and let's dip my toe. And the nonprofit meant so much to me. I wasn't ready to say, even though I knew I was done, I wasn't ready to say out loud, I'm done. And I wasn't ready to let anybody in the community know I'm done. Um, so I did it kind of secretively. Like I didn't market it. I didn't like talk to too many people about it. And how do you grow something when you're doing it that way? Like it just felt counterintuitive to what I was trying to do. So I think after 2 years, and I broke in those 2 years. My husband said to me like, "Hey, you didn't need a side hustle. You already work 80, 90 hours a week. Like, what are you doing with this? Are you gonna do it or are you gonna stay?" And I had a girlfriend sent me down to be like, "This can't go on. Like, you're breaking. Your body's breaking. Your brain is breaking. So set a date, like a shit or get off the pot date." And I gave myself 1 more year. And I was like, in 1 year, I need to be at this spot. And then I backtracked from there. I was like, I want to give my organization 6 months. I do not recommend that, but I want to give my, my organization 6 months. So that means I need to be in this spot by June so that I can resign by the end of the year. And I set the goal and I hit it. So I, yeah, resigned and gave them 6 months. And that was like, I mean, they raised me, right? And the whole reason I'm able to do what I did was because of them. So then I launched like 2020. I was like, okay, this is like now it's it. And I don't have any other safety net. And then COVID hit. So that's just it, because I just said it. I'm Chicken Little, so it's just me. I think I have 2 bookkeepers. I'm kind of talking to another CFO about, like, "Will you come on and partner with me?" So that's how it was gonna be structured. It was me, these 2 bookkeepers. I was gonna be the CFO. They were just gonna do the bookkeeping, and then immediately thereafter, people were asking me for additional services, and then I realized, like, "Oh, I really have to run the company. I can't be doing any of the work." So I really have to have a team. And then when COVID hit, you would think that somebody that's Chicken Little would be like, "Oh my God," right? Like the sky is actually falling. I felt so validated. I was like, "I told you, dummies, the sky was gonna fall, the earth is gonna end, like the world's gonna stop." So I felt so validated of like, actually it did happen. But COVID, I think, Mike, helped fractional businesses a lot. I think,
100%.
right? Like first of all, it taught people that my staff can be remote. I didn't have to teach them that. COVID taught them that. And I didn't have to sell them on that. COVID did it all.
Mhm.
And then, as people were realizing like, oh, I need this, or but I don't need it full time. It really opened up a ton of doors for us. And people were losing their people. Either people were going away because they were realizing this isn't what I want to do. Like I think people really self-reflected a lot and were like, this isn't what I want to do. This isn't where I want to live. So people were leaving, and that's when clients started asking me for like more and more and more services. So it all just kind of worked out where we went from, me and 2 bookkeepers to now we're a staff of 40, and we have 3 different services that we offer. So it wasn't hard to scale. And because, a lot of the work that we do, I mean, the majority of the work that we do is still financials, like obviously our books are in order. So like you can figure out when it's time, like when can we hire? Can we hire? What's the next position gonna look like? What do we need? So it's been, I don't know, like way more than I could have dreamed or anticipated this would look like.
It's interesting that you say scaling is easy because I feel like that is one of the that has been my biggest struggle over the years is we end up too big, we end up too small. We're almost never in the Goldilocks zone for
Yeah.
client load versus employee count and
Yes.
stats. And I can't speak to the financial side. You probably feel this because you've been in marketing now for years. Marketing is something that is ever changing. Like and I say it and kind of jokingly, but I feel like we have to reinvent our business every 3 months because of
Yeah.
how everything is changing so quickly.
Yeah.
So scaling has been always been my number one challenge. So I would love to hear, and I'm sure everybody else would love to hear, like for you, what makes scaling so easy? Like, what are the things that tell you like we need to hire someone and we need to hire this person? Because that's a really tough answer for a lot of folks.
I think for me, and I hope I'm not giving this as advice, but I would rather have a staff member waiting for the work than a client waiting for a staff. So what we have actually started doing is looking at our inquiries and potential clients that are coming on and potential work that's coming on and projecting out based on that. So who can take it? Where are they? What do they have on their plate right now? What projects are wrapping up? And the majority of our clients are month to month, which makes it easier because then you know this person is locked in at these hours. It's not a this person's working on this project, and once the project is done, they'll have more time. We have some of those. But the majority of our business is not that. So it makes it a little bit easier. So what we do is we know that somebody's going to need about 3 months to ramp up. In those 3 months, they're going to have a client, but that client they're going to do a ton of job shadowing with. So their manager is actually doing the majority of the work and they're just kind of watching how it gets done until they get their feet wet. So we start with the end of like, if all these people come on, who gets assigned what, and then we hire from there. So we know our marketing team is solid and there's hours available there. Same thing with our HR team, there's hours available. It's really the accounting people of like, when are we bringing somebody on? And I'm not going to say that it always works. So the other thing that we implemented was we have a director for each of our services, but for accounting specifically, we have a manager. So if somebody does come on and we don't have staff, it's that manager's responsibility to manage the client until a staff member is up, running, and trained. So we kind of have the safety net of a person. Um, but I think for every business, and I certainly don't want to make it seem like scaling is easy. It's not. But that's how we do it. We hire the staff before we need the staff, knowing that the work is going to come. And the work has always come. We've always been lucky in that sense of like that person gets filled. Um, so that's kind of how we do it on our end. Um, and like I say, the other two services or teams have availability. It's really the accounting that gets bottled down a lot.
Sure. I imagine the accounting side is a little stickier than, say, the marketing side, or I don't really know much about the HR side of things, but
Yeah.
I know marketing, and there's you can't walk down the street without tripping into someone that's a marketing business or a marketing company, um, which sometimes is good. I'm all about competition, but sometimes it drags things down a little bit. But
Yeah, quite a bit.
quite a bit.
Um, so what's interesting is it's the accounting that is the month to month. Like the majority of our month to month comes from accounting. HR is really an as needed, as like situations arise or a project comes up or somebody needs somebody to be recruited or somebody needs somebody to be let go or we haven't done our handbook in a long time. Can you do that? We haven't done a salary analysis in a long time. Can you do that? But it's very rare that those clients are monthly. So those clients are really like project as needed bank of hours sort of work. But the accounting is, you have to touch that account every single week in order to make sure that everything's being done on time and accurately. And they need financials by a certain period of time. And the reports need to be done. And in order for the reports to be done, all the bookkeeping has to be done. So that's why that service is so much harder to plan for. So I just need the staff waiting for the work versus the client waiting for the staff.
Mm-hmm. As you've been growing this business and scaling it, so for a lot of people, scaling is a problem, right? So for you, it sounds like scaling's been not the main issue. What would you say were some of the bigger challenges that you saw as you've grown this business over the last 10 years?
Me.
You?
Mm.
Explain yourself, Sabrina.
I think that because of my background and everything that I did for the nonprofit that I ran, I had to let go of a lot and I had to trust the experts that I was hiring. So I did marketing for my nonprofit really poorly, and I shouldn't, that's not what I should be doing. And I don't know it. I know what I find to be aesthetically pleasing, but I have a VP of marketing that does that, and does it really well. And I've hired her. So I've got to let her take it, right? Like I've just got to let her do it. Same thing with all the other services. Like I've dabbled in all of them, doing what I did and doing what I did for, the last 10 years that I was doing it. Like I was the person. Um, but that's why I started this business, was because I shouldn't have been doing all of those things. I needed experts to do it. So me just letting go and allowing my team to do what they do, me realizing that you cannot always lead with kindness. Like at the end of the day, we are a business and I'm actually pissing other people off if we're not holding everybody accountable to the same standards.
Mhm.
And um I find that really hard sometimes because I am constantly thinking of like, but they have this going on. But they've had this going on for 2 years. Like this is their lives. So we either accept this person for this is what they're bringing to us, but they still have to do the job, right?
Mhm.
Whereas I always go back to, but um so it's me. I had to let all of that go, and I had to understand that this is not a nonprofit. This is not a I need everybody to feel good about our mission. But at the same time, like I started this and I want it to be a place that people want to come to work. Like I don't want people to have the scary Sundays, and I don't want them to feel about the start of the work week or having to come back from a vacation. Like, I want them to enjoy it, and I wanted to create a business that did more than just make money. I wanted to support communities. Um, so there just has to be a right balance. That's all. Like my team is right. Like it has to, in order for us to be able to make impacts in the community and support communities and support nonprofits more, we have to have money coming in to pay our staff and then be able to support those things that I want to do. But in order for money to come in, we have to have standards and we have to hold everybody accountable to those standards. And it just has to be like it's a non-negotiable. Um, so we had to adopt core values, and we had to hire and fire by them. And I had to do that. I had to support that. Um, so it is me. A lot of the troubles are all fires that I created and then had to put out. But I'm learning and I'm getting better at
It's a process, I guess. I feel like I really like to I like to make the same mistake like 10 times before I really learn from that mistake. So I and
it.
often
That's my biggest problem.
yeah. Yeah, that's what as you were talking, that's what I was thinking about. And it usually is because I've made I won't say a bad hire, I made the wrong hire, and being human side, I hold on to them way longer than I should, and, yeah,
You do that in any other aspect of your life?
absolutely.
Okay. So same here.
It's as the way that you do one thing is the way you do everything, right? So it's like yeah, I definitely that's why I had to stop playing poker years ago because holding on to a bad hand, and chasing it, that's the story of my life, I guess. But
I guess so. Yeah. And look if
I
we ended up with the right people, like
oh,
personally in
yes.
our lives, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Well, again, I'm almost 50 years old. So finally, in the last few years, I've found really great people and I'm holding on to them as tightly as I can. It,
But like Lenny in what- of Mice and Men, like yeah, I squish people to death.
yes. Yes.
Yeah, like I kill the bunny sometimes.
There's so much stuff that we get into here. I think one of the biggest things that I'm trying to help our listeners understand is like what to do in the beginning to help yourself grow. Cause like, and I've talked about this with other people on different shows, like to me, there's kind of two kinds of fractionals. There's the fractional that wants like the lifestyle business. They don't want to work the
Mhm,
80-hour work weeks that you
mhm,
work. They want to
mhm,
work the 20-hour work week, a handful of clients. They're not looking to
mhm,
grow. They're not looking to scale. And then there's the other side is people like you that you have 40 employees, you have,
mhm,
three distinct business offerings, like you've grown and scaled at an amazing business and you do a lot of great work in the community and for your clients. And so I like, what do you think is the biggest lesson that you've learned over those years that for someone that's looking to grow a business like yours, they want employees, they want to scale, they want a business that operates them day to day without them being involved in every single
mhm,
decision. Like,
mhm.
what would you tell those folks?
So I'm gonna two things. When I first started, I really focused on partnerships. So I would find people who were complementary to my business, but didn't do what I did, and I didn't do what they did. So, for example, for me, it was accountants and CPAs. We don't do taxes, we don't do audits. They do bookkeeping, but they don't love it, and their clients don't love it because it's kind of expensive to have your accountant do that. Um, so I went to them and said, "Can we partner as a referral partner? If there's clients that need you, who would I refer them to?" So I established those relationships. That's how I started. So those led me to more and more clients. And then once I started getting clients, the clients started referring me to other clients. So our biggest source is referrals. And then once things started to snowball and the business started to have legs and take on some sort of form, um, the best thing that I did was EOS. So once I had a team and staff and figuring out whose role is what, the absolute best thing I did was figure out right people, right seat, level 10 meetings, scorecards, accountabilities. But before all of that happened, EOS forces you to establish a mission, a vision, um, a goal, like a 10-year goal, a 5-year goal, a 3-year goal, and then a 1-year goal. And every single year, you're updating that. And then it forces you to focus on internal core values. What sets you apart from your competitors? What are you telling your potential clients? Like, what is your company tagline? What is your elevator pitch? So it forces you to kind of think through who you want to be and who you want to be long term. So it makes you look at the really big picture, bring it down to granular, and then it forces you to establish goals and accountability for everybody. So it's the best of both worlds of like really macro, really micro, looking at the forest, but also focusing on every plant and flower and leaf that you put into that forest. And then because all of that is established, your hiring and firing becomes so much easier. So all of our interviews are based on our core values. So all of the questions that we're asking, once we know you could do the job and you have the skills, like we'll go through all that stuff, obviously. But once we know, all of our behavioral interview questions are based on who we are as a company and how that person fits in. Because let's just take marketing. Like you do social media, great, but are you are you going to represent us the way we are putting ourselves out there into the community? Are you going to hold Capital CFO to that standard? And are you going to keep up with that standard in our core values? So that's what I'm saying makes it so easy because it's all kind of laid out already for you. And then everything comes from that. So our handbook comes from that. Like all of our communication comes from that. Our process charts come from that. Our SOPs come from that. Like all of it kind of gets figured out, and then it's just so easy to vomit all of that information out to somebody. So those are the 2 things that I did that I'm really, proud is the wrong word, but I'm really like, I'll die, on a mountain for of like establish partnerships, establish referral partners, get to know people, get to know their businesses and what they're doing, and go into it with the how can I help them mindset. You were you part of BNI?
I was in BNI for years. I do Gold Star.
Okay. Yeah. So I did BNI for years also. I think we met at like a BNI network. Anyway, um there's this motto in BNI of givers gain, like give to people and then it'll be go into it with that. Like, how am I going to help this person succeed? And then that person in turn, will trust you and trust what you're doing as well because you have their best interest at heart too.
I mean, I agree fully. I think leading with goodwill is the best way to, approach any relationship. If you're
Yeah.
just, approach like, I mean, we all run into those people at networking events that they immediately start trying to sell you something the minute you start talking to them. They're just trying to get something from you and they're not looking to help in any way. Um, yeah, I do like the giver's gain.
Yeah. It's a good motto to live by. And I think if you go out into the world and do that when you're trying to establish partnerships, like you're really trying to figure out, okay, what does your company do and how can I help support that? And then think through some of your clients to be like, oh, I bet you they could really utilize that, you know?
Absolutely. What do you do? Because maybe I'm wrong, but you don't necessarily have like a sales team, right?
No, not yet, but that's our next hire.
That's your next hire. Okay. Because I
Yeah.
was gonna ask, like, how do you handle the customer, the customer service side, the sale, the staying in touch? Obviously, if you've got 40 employees, you have well above that with client base. Like, how do you maintain the relationships with your clients as you grow?
That's a great question too. So, like I said, I no longer work in the business, I work on it. So I do, my sole focus is client satisfaction and staff satisfaction. So I just focus on the team and I focus on making sure our clients are happy. So I'm in all the intakes. So any potential client that comes to us, like I'm doing that intake call. I'm getting to know them. I'm finding out what sort of services that they need. If they sign on with us, I pass them off to the team, but then I do an onboarding check-in. How did your onboarding with our team go? What sort of advice, do you have for us of anything that we can improve? What else do you need from us? And then for the first year, I'm checking in monthly, every other month, quarterly. And then after that first year, about quarterly, of like they're getting a message from me of like, do you need a meeting? What do you need from us? You certainly don't have to wait for me to contact you, but so I'm doing all of that client management. Um, and it's been really helpful because we've also established several surveys. So there's an onboarding survey they can fill out if that's easier for them. Um, and then there's a anniversary survey. So it's been really easy for clients to get back to us on stuff and they're very honest. So if like, hey Sabrina, things are going great, but here's something that I need this week. Can you help me with it? Or hey, Sabrina, I actually do need help right now. Like there was an onboarding call that they're like, not really sure what my next steps are. And I was like, that's on us. You should have known that. You should have gotten an implementation plan. Like, you know what I mean? So, it's very easy to then go back to my team and say like, hey, what happened here? Um, so those are the two areas that I now focus on. So that's all me kind of checking in and, keeping track of who we're in touch with.
It's funny because I immediately just wanted to start talking about Hourglass, Sabrina, but I don't. That's not
Do
what the
it.
show is about.
Do it because I love it so much.
I know.
As you asked me that, I was like, I'm keeping track of that in my CRM, my current CRM, until Hourglass becomes my CRM.
I know. We're very excited about that update. Actually just had a meeting with the dev team about it to talk about some of the functionality, but and I don't want to keep you on here all day, but outside of obviously you're using Hourglass, but what other software, what other kind of technology are you guys employing in your company?
So we do use our CRM. I use it 13 million times a day. So that includes, all of our client management goes in there, all of our contracts go in there, all of our gifting goes in there, any tasks that I need to do for either a client or potential client, all of my meetings are in there. So that if you do not have a CRM, get a CRM immediately. And then as soon as Hourglass has a CRM, transfer to Hourglass. Um, and then we use Dropbox a lot for our clients so that there's an easy way for us to transfer information with our clients. Obviously, for accounting, we use their accounting software, so they don't use ours. We use whatever they're using, but I would say 95% of our clients are on QuickBooks. Certainly will be used for our company as well. And then we started doing our marketing team does some project stuff like, Monday.com, I think they're
Yeah.
using to like establish, projects that they're working on together.
Love it.
So that's it. We're not like super, super high tech, just a couple of different, and we're big Google people. So everything is Google Sheets and, you know, that sort of stuff. So,
I'm curious, why do you use Dropbox instead of Google Drive?
we use Google Drive internally, Dropbox for clients because a lot of our clients don't have Google,
Uh,
but everybody can access Dropbox.
I got it. I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we use Google Drive for everything, and it is a bit of a wall sometimes because they have to have a Gmail address in order to access it, and we
That's
end up
exactly why we don't use it.
like, I can't tell you how many clients we've had to like create a Gmail address for so they
Yeah.
can access it, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's frustrating.
Yeah. So that's why Dropbox.
Okay. Last but not least, what's the future look like for Capital CFO Plus?
Oh my God. See, this is when I get chicken little. Do you really want to know? So I think that, and you and I have talked a lot about this, automation and AI, um, I think is really going to help our team expand. And you said something to me when we talked about this forever ago of like, you want expansion, not elimination. So you don't want to eliminate yourself from the field, but you want to be able to use tools so that your team can take on additional work without feeling the burden of like additional work. So are there things that we can make easier for the team? And that has kind of been our focus recently with looking into the future. Like, what are the tools that we can use to make things easier for our team, less expensive for our clients so that they can do higher level work?
Yeah. Yeah, automate to elevate is what we keep saying around here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's, the future is now, I guess, as far as that goes. It's,
But if you talked to me 6 months ago, I was like, it's all over, guys. Let's call it.
yep.
Let's get out of the whole game. Let's call it. Let's all retire in our 40s. Let's just close it.
So that's funny. So you talk about retirement. I talk about quitting. I'm like, I quit like once a week. I'm like, I said, I'm done. All this stuff.
Oh, you're gonna go to the farm. Just me and Penelope.
What's that? You garbled
You're
out.
just gonna go do the farm. Just you and Penelope.
Again, this goes back to the dream of simplification. I think about that all the time. Like, oh, it would be just great if I just sold everything and I could just work the farm. I would be miserable if I did that, Sabrina.
Do you know what you'd be doing? You'd be sitting there in the morning being like, "We can start this, we can
Yep.
start that." Like,
Yep.
your brain would immediately start building business plans.
Yes. I mean, I do that anyway. I like,
You do that anyway.
there's just, it's so fun. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Oh my God. Thank you for having me. It's always fun to talk to you.
Yeah, likewise. I enjoy
Yeah.
our conversations, and like I said, I think that you have a wealth of knowledge as far as starting and growing a business. You've done amazingly well, obviously, and appreciate the relationship and appreciate you.
Well, I'm always here. I hope I helped somebody somewhere out there. I don't know if I gave any words of wisdom, but
I think that you
maybe.
did.
Okay.
And
All
if anything, you gave people hope. You can
right.
do it. You can do it.
Look, you can do it. You can. You definitely can.
Uh, and of course, thanks everybody for listening. Obviously, the Fractional Operator, this episode, all episodes are on hourglasssas.com. You can check those out. Also, we've got a weekly newsletter that goes out, which I hate the term newsletter. I got to come up with a better word for that. But really what it is it's a curated list of content specifically for fractionals to help you grow, to help and to, help us all do better. So check us out, sign up, subscribe, like. You can find these podcasts also on Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. Thanks so much, everybody. Appreciate it.